Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the Warren City School District Board of Education special meeting. Today is Tuesday, December the 7th, 2021, and the time is 6:04 p.m. We are at Warren G. Harding High School Cafetorium with live stream available at warrencityschools.org. With that, I'll call the meeting to order, and if everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Could we please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Falley?
Present.
Mrs. Patterson?
Here.
Mrs. Shannon?
Here.
Mr. Walker? Present. Mrs. Lamperos?
Here. Everyone is present and accounted for. We have no need for agenda item 3. So we will now move on to agenda item number 5, which is the adoption of the agenda, and I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
Mr. Falley?
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, motion carries. The agenda is adopted. We'll move on to agenda item 6, which is the superintendent's report. And Mr. Shiro, you are up.
Thank you, Mrs. Lamperos. At this time, I'd like to present DESALVO Construction. They will be doing a presentation for the Board of Education for the proposed Recreation and Wellness Center here in the Warren City Schools. The presentation this evening is similar, if not the same, to what the Athletic Council viewed on Thursday evening, in which the rating of the 3 companies determined DESALVO Construction to be rated the highest of the 3 companies. So we've invited DESALVO here with us this evening. Gentlemen.
I always feel.
Good evening, and thank you, Steve, and thank you, Board of Education. We're thrilled to be here to present the exact same presentation that we did the other night, with the exception of the date, Steve. We changed the date on the cover, so you'll see exactly what we presented to the group. On behalf of everybody at our company, we are again so thrilled to be a part of this project and to be welcomed into this team and enter into a relationship with the district and the designers to deliver a project that is going to be not only state-of-the-art and a wonderful project for the school district, but it's going to be for the entire surrounding community. And we're just thrilled to play our part in that. So with that, my name is Joe DESALVO. I am the president . And I am the 2nd generation owner of the company. We were established in 1984, and I was 14 years old when we did that. So I grew up in the business, and I'm proud to carry on the legacy that my parents instilled and the values that they gave to us, not only as business people, but as human beings. My mom was an educator. Her mom was an educator. So I come from a family of teachers. And I coach myself, and I value the coaching and teaching, and I think that's important in business and in life. And in this building is going to be, a wellness center that's going to be used by coaches and educators along, and that's going to make a big impact to a lot of lives in this valley. Jim Bear is our Vice President of Estimating. Mark Dodd is our Vice President of Project Management, Jim Bear is what we call the money guy. So he'll be doing all the estimating, all the pre-construction services, and working very closely with the design team to develop strategies that will help us make decisions that are in the best interest of the project and allow us to procure materials in a timely and thoughtful and cost-conscious manner. Once the design work is completed, we will then transition with Mark Dodd. He'll be taking the leadership role on the project from a project management standpoint, and he'll help execute the vision that the architects and engineers develop along with us and the school district to execute and make sure that we don't run into any stumbling blocks along the way. This is an outline of the presentation. We're going to go over past experiences, the project challenges, the project schedule, our project approach, and then the DESALVO advantage. And to start off, we are going to have a video here of a testimonial for a project that we completed recently at Campbell City Schools, and we'll hear from Matt Bowen, the superintendent of Campbell City Schools. Thanks, Jim.
Superintendent of the Campbell City Schools. We had the opportunity to work with DESALVO Construction during the building process of the Community Literacy Workforce and Cultural Center. The Community Literacy Workforce and Cultural Center is really an ecosystem of many different public and private partners coming together to provide whole child, whole family services in the Mahoney County area. We've created this opportunity with DESALVO Construction. It was more of a partnership than it was them just performing a service. It's a year-long relationship to where you have to really know the interest of everyone. And DESALVO took the time to make sure that they understood where we were coming from, what our wants, what our needs were in order to accomplish the ultimate goal. And that's really a building that's going to serve this entire region and something that everyone should and hopefully will be very proud of. We had weekly progress meetings. It was not just DESALVO telling us and updating us on what was accomplished or what to anticipate. It was really open conversation. The general contractor, working with the architect, also made this project, quite frankly, seamless and really made sure that there wasn't a lot of additional effort on behalf of the district. This project was really accomplished more with our architect and our GC working together. When we think about the experience we had with DESALVO Construction and quality control, they were very responsive to all of our needs. Oftentimes when you enter into a construction project, you have to anticipate that there are going to be change orders. Some of those change orders are unexpected, and some of those you anticipate because it's just part of doing business. Some of those changes were brought forth by us, the Campbell City Schools, because there's something that we didn't see in our initial plans. DESALVO was very responsive. They were able to work with us. They were able to provide us with multiple quotes, and those multiple quotes were necessary in order for us to be in compliance with the state auditors. They understood how to work with schools, that we are a public entity, and they understood specifically what we needed in order to be compliant with our process. The collaboration that exists between DESALVO and their individual subs was very important to our project because it resulted in an on-time delivery. Even during the pandemic, when a lot of different things were shutting down and a lot of times it was more difficult for supplies and materials to be readily available, DESALVO was still able to accomplish their goals. They had those relationships with their subs. So even during the most difficult times, we were on schedule. DESALVO stands out as a contractor because of the relationships they could forge with the owner. It's always been a positive experience, and they took that extra time to make sure that those relationships were established, and it was a positive culture that existed as we all worked together. And if we have the opportunity in the future to work with them again, we will happily do so.
So thank you again for having us here tonight. My name is Jim Bear. I will be the pre-construction lead. We appreciate you taking the time to watch that video from Matt Bowen, the superintendent from Campbell. We really appreciate him sharing his opinion of us to share with you guys, so thanks for watching that. I'm going to take a quick moment here to talk about some of the project's challenges. As you can see on the bottom of the slide, we really do try to embrace challenges as opportunities. Every project is going to have challenges. Mark here in a minute is going to talk about our approach of how we overcome these challenges and use those as an opportunity to show you the value we bring to the table for this project. Some challenges we see unforeseen conditions. Those typically could include items such as unsuitable soils or extreme weather events. Another item we see as a challenge for this project is supply chain issues, whether that be with delays in the manufacturing process, or with trucking or freight and getting materials delivered timely. Another item as a challenge is market volatility. Material costs are fluctuating pretty erratically right now, so it's another item to keep our eye on. Another item is labor resources and making sure we identify an available workforce through good bid packaging. And then the schedule overall, maintaining this project schedule in the current market. So when we talk about schedule, the design team shared with us the desired dates for this project, which show pre-construction starting immediately and kind of wrapping up in the month of May of the following year, leading into a 15-month construction schedule and our site logistics approach that Mark's going to touch upon next.
Thank you, everyone, for having us. Again, my name is Mark Dodd. I handle project management for DESALVO. And what I'd like to spend a minute talking about with you is how do we handle these challenges that Jim just presented to you? We live in uncertain times, and we need to be proactive to resolve these challenges. We've put a schedule up here. Just preliminarily, we'll begin meeting with the architect and your ownership team to develop the project schedule. We'll have a more thorough bar chart line item of all the items required to build this project in a timely, efficient manner. And we'll also develop a site logistics plan. This is a preliminary plan of the site. We know that there's going to be a lot of challenges putting this building next to the adjacent building and not interrupting your day-to-day activities. You know, our first priority is the safety of the children, obviously, that are coming to this building, and we have a zero tolerance policy with all of our sub-suppliers and tradesmen to make sure that is always priority number one. Again, this is preliminary. We have a lot of discussion we want to get started right away with the architect and the ownership team here to develop the plan in its entirety. So our project approach, again, we want to establish a sense of urgency, get involved with the team immediately, have kickoff meetings, get the plan in place as soon as we possibly can. As Jim mentioned, there's a lot of obstacles out there right now to getting things done, and we feel a more proactive approach will help us work through those. We'll develop a purchasing plan, whether it's buying structural steel early or an early site package or mechanical systems, things that take a long time to get. We'll identify those early so that we can have them on site when we need them. We'll develop an efficient logistics plan, which I just mentioned, so that all of our coordination is very seamless. Material deliveries will be well identified as to where deliveries are to. We'll have signage posted, and deliveries will not be an issue. Subcontractor pre-qualification. This area has a lot of talent, and we want to utilize that talent to build this building. Use the resources we have here locally to so they can be proud of what they've built and buildings that they're going to use in the future. Some of our strategies, our superintendents conduct a daily huddle with all of the subs. We have a real quick meeting in the morning, talk about what we're doing today, what the plan is for the next week or so. We issue 2-week look-aheads, which identify upcoming activities so that everybody's, can plan ahead and there's no surprises. And we also use our technology. We have 2 technology programs that we use. Building Connected we use with the estimating side we have a database of all the subs and suppliers that could potentially work on this project at our fingertips. And we use PlanGrid, which is a system that allows our superintendents on site. They all carry iPads with them, and we can update those iPads in real time so that all our information is up to date. Any design changes or owner changes are immediately uploaded to the site so the superintendent can make sure that we don't lose any time with those updates. So, and again, the best thing we can do for the project, we feel, is to keep the project first and make decisions in the interest of the project, because we know if the project's successful, DESALVO will be successful. Thank you. Thank you.
So in closing, I want to go over some of the reasons why we think we're an advantage to the project. I think I touched on that in the introduction. You know, we're about to enter into a relationship, and every great relationship and successful relationship rises and falls on the communication between the parties involved. And I think that's what we bring to the table because we are a local contractor. We're right here. I've lived in this community almost my entire life outside of going to school and following my wife down to Columbus for a few years while she did vet school at Ohio State. But we've been doing business here since 1984. We have relationships with a lot of great subcontractors, suppliers, tradespeople. I negotiate and am active on many trade unions, negotiating with them every 4 years or every 3 years, depending on the agreement, on behalf of the contractors. And I've been doing that for over 25 years myself personally. I'm a past president of the Builders Association for the 5 counties. So I have relationships there with the other contractors as well. And their endorsement to have DESALVO build their corporate headquarters building 2 years ago speaks volumes about the faith in the community of DESALVO Construction to manage a project for them, because that's a pretty tough crowd to build for, a bunch of contractors. So, you know, we feel pretty grateful to be, you know, the contractor that was chosen there. We are experienced, we are reputable, we are qualified, we are resourceful, and we are very team-oriented. We're going to work very closely with the school district and the design team to make sure we deliver a project that we can all be proud of, and we're just thrilled for the opportunity. On behalf of everybody at DESALVO Construction, again, we are just really thrilled and grateful to even be asked to participate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, I have time set aside for discussion, question and answer between the Board of Education and the representatives today from DESALVO Construction. Ms. Lamperos, if you would take the lead.
Sure, absolutely. Mr. Walker, do you want to add anything? It was a very long night for all of us that attended, but it was definitely well worth it. You were in very good company. I do want to add that the other 2 firms that presented, we were very, very fortunate to have all 3 of you there. And as you know, the scoring came out, you rose to the top. So I'm very excited to have you join us in this project. I really value the fact that, you know, you plan on using local contractors. That's huge. You know, having been a part of building all of these new buildings that we have, you know, we started that back in, well, the first one opened in 2008, and it's important. The community looks for that. So I really, really value that piece of it. Do you have anything you want to add, Mr. Walker?
In addition to that, you know, DESALVO, we have a relationship with DESALVO as they've already done projects for us. So we've been able to see up close and intimate what your projects look like, what you can do for us, and we've had that experience. So to re-enter into this relationship with you, it just speaks, you know, where, like Patty said, we're excited because you're local, you're going to be using local, and you're qualified, and you're competent, you're more than competent, you excel at what you do, and we're excited to have you and look forward to this project.
And if I could say too, I know with like the market volatility and the uncertainty and all of that, when you presented, you know, the other night, you were very calm about it, you know, and that provided a bit of comfort for me, because when it comes to budgets, you know, always looking at that bottom line. So I did appreciate that as well. Do any of our other board members have any questions that you'd like to ask of them? I know that we had went with the formula that the athletic council would bring it to this point, and we wanted to be able to extend questions or comments to you as well. So, Mrs. Patterson, would you have anything you'd like to say?
No, The only thing, it's not a question, it's a comment. I think one of the things that I'm very impressed about with you guys is the fact that you utilize teamwork. I think that's very important, that everybody who has a part in this does get a chance to come to the table, and all ideas are heard. So I'm very impressed with the teamwork facet of the project.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Shannon, do you have anything?
I just want to say that the plans look great. I'm really excited about this. It's something that's been needed in our community for a very, very long time. So congratulations and go work.
Mr. Fowley?
Well, currently, we finished a project at Willard School, a roof replacement. It was over $1 million, and the project had to go dormant because there was no fireproof plywood of the proper thickness available anywhere in America. And I know this is almost an absurd thing to ask, but do you have a Plan B for anything which might become unavailable, a substitution? And I know that this bounces back to the architects also.
Yeah.
So I'll just turn around and bounce.
Yeah, I think to answer that question, I mean, our desire is to have not only a Plan B, but a Plan C and a Plan D.
Yes.
And we will work very closely with the design team to communicate those Plan B, C, D, and E's in real time so that we can all collaborate together and make an informed decision and selection on whatever is the best for the project. You know, we talked about that in our presentation. We're going to put the project first, and we're going to put all of our egos aside, and we're going to say, look, we might have to, we use the word pivot, we might have to pivot here and go to a Plan B, C, or D. And I know that working with the design team in the past, we've been working with them for over 25 years on various projects, big and small. And we have a very good, open relationship. They don't like sometimes what we have to say, and we don't like sometimes what they have to say. But in the end, we know that we're looking out for the project first, both of our parties. And if the owner can come aboard with that, I can't, you know, all we can do is be successful.
I know that I can speak for my four colleagues. We're all very gratified that all three construction companies had such a strong local connection. And in the selection of the architectural firm, we were very glad that we were able to choose from among local people. We're not taking state money. We're not taking grant money. We have the money in the Permanent Improvement Fund. We're able to build what the community needs without any strings. So we're very grateful for all of that.
Yeah. As a member of this community, I'm grateful for that, and we look forward to it. From the beginning, when I first heard of this project, whether DESALVO was on board or not, I think it really hats off to the Warren City School District, and it's long overdue. You know, I have 4 children, and 2 of them are off in college already, and I still have 2 in high school. But, you know, we go around from community to community, and you see these other communities that have these centers. And, you know, the common thread that I get from parents and other people in our communities we're traveling around is, why doesn't Youngstown and Warren have anything like this?
Well, I probably shouldn't say this on the live stream, but this has been talked about by the school board and city council for over 20 years.
And
Yeah.
not only that, it was really brought forth by private individuals.
That's correct.
The Warren Soccer League talked about it, you know, way back in the day. I remember there were meetings at the YWCA about it, and Tim Ryan was there. I mean, there were a lot of, you know, players that were at that particular meeting, and I just think of Derek Tolles talked about doing something like this, and, you know, here we are actually getting it done, and this is really huge for everyone in our community.
Yeah, you're leading the way for the community, and that's hats off to the
Well,
district.
we value our children, we value our families, so this is a big heart for Warren. All right, do you have anything else?
I do not, thank you.
Well, on behalf of the board, first I want to thank Julian and Mr. Walker, and I would like to thank our colleagues for trusting us. This is how a board committee works, and it worked extremely well. So we thank you. Thank you for listening to DESALVO and their presentation. Thank you so much for coming out this evening, and we're just very excited to get things started. Mr. Shiro?
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. I also, as referenced, our guest from Phillips Mechanic is also here this evening, so if anyone has any questions, I do just want to say in summary, you know, as the project has been moving forward over the last several months, this is the point where we identified an architect. We looked at conceptual designs. There is no design set, no blueprint of what the Recreation Wellness Center will look like. That is where bringing the construction manager at risk with the design team on what our conceptual designs can be and how do we maximize that. And that will be hopefully the next steps down the way coming forth to the Board of Education. If it's to the whole board or via athletic council, that's for you guys to decide moving forward, but this is a great step. And just when we're talking about the time frame on getting this moving, something that came through all of the presenters last Thursday evening was the supply chain.
Yeah.
And something that might have taken 2 months, 3 months, these guys have to start anticipating 6 or 8 months on a good schedule right now.
Yeah.
And again, the plan B, the plan C, the plan D, and having those contingencies in place. So it is very important that the pre-construction work gets moving at a good pace. And so I'm very grateful that we are here today. Anything else? Think we hit it. Thank you guys very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
And if you'd like to stick around, we'll be concluding here in the next couple minutes, I believe.
Yes, yeah.
With nothing else, that concludes the superintendent's report for this evening.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 7, superintendent's recommendation.
I do have a recommendation before the board that was not prepared for the special meeting agenda because this information came through today and we are working on it. At a prior board meeting, I believe it may have been November, the Board of Education authorized the superintendent, the treasurer, the business manager in some format to negotiate with the purchase of the sale of a property on Woodland. I believe the address was 1041. We were not able to execute that agreement. The school officials on behalf of the board have rescinded that, and so the deal is no longer. So 1041 is no longer being pursued as an option. With that said, I have provided for you a walk-on agenda item, a real estate purchase agreement between the Warren Board of Education, the Warren City School District, and the seller of parcel 38-329-300 located at 1053 Woodland Street Northeast, if you would consider this as a walk-on agenda item this evening.
Okay, if I may have a motion to accept the walk-in? Yeah, first, yeah, but no, just up to the submitted, but let's go ahead and vote. I need a motion and a second to accept the walk-on, and we'll vote on that first.
Second.
All right, call the roll, please.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion is accepted. And now, Mr. Fowley, I'll ask for you to read the agenda item, the resolution.
In its, to as submitted or in its entirety?
Just submitted.
Real estate purchase agreement between the Board of Education of the Warren City School District and the seller of partial 38-329300 located at 1053 Woodland Street Northwest. It is recommended... Northeast. Thank you. It is recommended the resolution listed below granting option to purchase real estate between the Board of Education of the Warren City School District and seller of the parcel 38-329300 located at 1053 Woodland Avenue Northeast, Warren, Ohio 44483 be approved as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Walker? Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll move on to agenda item number 8, which is under board recommendations. And I am happy to pass this down the table to you. Our board recommendation on behalf of the Athletic Council. And again, I will need a motion and a second to accept the walk-on.
I make a motion, we accept the walk-on.
Second.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. And with that, Mrs. Shannon, if you would please read the resolution.
Accept ranking of construction manager at risk and authorizing negotiation of contract agreement. It is recommended the resolution listed below ranking construction manager at risk firms and authorizing negotiation of contract agreement be approved as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. And call the roll, please.
Mrs. Shannon?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
And Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, and the motion carries. That makes it official. Thank you. All right. And with that, before we adjourn, I just want to thank everyone once again for all their hard work during this process. And if the board members, I hope you saw a little greeting that was sent to us. Happy holidays from the Willard 21st Century Program. So we want to thank them.
Yes.
And I just want to remind everyone that we do have a board meeting next Tuesday. That's our regular board meeting, which will be here starting at 6 o'clock. So I'll see all of you next week. All right. And with that, we will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fowley?
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon?
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Yes, motion carries. The meeting is adjourned and the time is 6:36. Thank you.